Hey guys, it's Simon once again, and it's time for my second video about the Chinese Armed Forces vehicles made with Lego. And today we're gonna see two ships, these two, and a fighter bomber. And we're gonna see them in greater detail in a moment. First of all, a little information about why I took so long to present these three models. The thing is, during this past weekend, most of the American and European rifles were in a number of large events. It was Scarback, the Fun Weekend event, which I wasn't able to attend this year. But, well, I waited, and now it's time to show them these designs to all my followers. Okay, first of all, it's this Zubr landing craft. It's a hovercraft. The Chinese bought a few of them from Ukraine, and they also bought some of them from Greece, which is a little odd since since Russia sold their vehicles to Greece, which was a NATO member, and then Greece recently sold to China, which is a little odd. I wonder why NATO allowed the Greeks to sell their ships, but reasons. I have this new wheel, which I bought from IKEA, which lets you see the model in greater detail. As you can see, it has two 40mm Gatling guns here. The engines here on the back, there's some for the lift here, and on the front the door can be open and we can remove a tank from inside. And it was a very fun model to make. It was quite interesting. It's not very big, but I think it really looks like the real ship in real life. And I had lots of favorites on Flickr with this model. Next one is the Type 22 missile boat. Okay, so this ship is a missile boat developed by China. It has some stealth features. It has some sloped sides to reflect the waves from radar. It has 8 anti-ship missiles here on the back and a 30mm Gatling gun on the front. And I also added this very interesting camouflage. It's not very common for a ship of this size. You can see the launchers here on the back and the gun on the front. These ships have a very limited anti-aircraft capacity to defend. They only have the gun on the front. I think they can bring some man pads, but they pretty much don't have any anti-aircraft and anti-submarine weapons. So they're a little basic on that area. Okay, we are going to now talk a little about this model. This is a J-16 fighter bomber. We could call it a strike flanker. And why could we call that name? Thing is that at the end of the Cold War, the Air Force was pretty much made of fighters developed from the MiG-21 or the MiG-19 from Soviet Union. And with the end of the Soviet Union, the Chinese noticed that they really needed a fighter with long-range missiles and a bigger range because China is freaking huge. So they went outside to visit other nations to see what their designs, and they considered the option to buy Mirage the 2000 from France, but then they have some problems, and in the end they decided to buy the Sukhoi 27, which is pretty much the father of this design. The Chinese bought a few Su-27s and a few Su-30s, which was the strike variant of the Su-27. And they had some successes with the design, And so they decided to develop their own version. There was a problem with the Chinese because the Russians said that the Chinese copied their designs, and they developed the J-11B, which is a Chinese copy. We need to say it, it's a copy of the Su-27. And recently they decided to develop new variants like the J-15, which is a naval variant of the Su-33, which is the fighter that the Russians use from their Kuznetsov aircraft carrier. And they are now having the similar design, which is pretty much a copy that they brought from Ukraine. And they are operating them from the new aircraft carrier Lion. Let's talk once again about this model. This is a J-16. So it's a strike variant with Chinese hardware and equipment and software from China. So it's a Chinese design. The plane, as you can see, is very large, very, very big. And it has a huge amount of details, and I'm very, very happy with it. As you can see on the front, we can open the cockpit and we can see the room for the pilot and co-pilot. Looks like this. It has an external refueling probe here, which can be opened and closed. The reader is on the front. On the side there is the 30mm cannon here. It has this idea for the wings. There was the option to use slopes here, but I decided that I preferred to use this idea. This idea makes the transition between the slopes and the overall wing a lot better, and I'm very happy with this solution. Then there's some other interesting ideas. I got this idea from a mad physicist from his Su-27. The model that I used to make this Su-30 was had these parts in black, and his solution works quite well. There's also a number of rudders that can be moved, like these two here on the wings, here on the back. Turn 2, these are all moving, and on the rear we can open the nozzles for high-speed acceleration if we want. This design also has a retractable landing gear, and it was quite a challenge to make. If we turn it upside down, we can see the design better. The frontal one just flips like this and it closes, simple as that, no problem whatsoever. And the other ones, we just open, they turn, they lock, and then we close them. This idea is somehow based on the design that mad physicist also made for his Su-27, but I simplified it a little, and it works quite well. I'm very happy. You can also see another thing. While I was building the Su-27, I noticed that the air entrances for the air on the front, they have a small angle to the inside, and so it was a challenge. I really loved the challenge, and this way it works a lot better, and it's very stuck. It's very strong, a strong connection that I made here. Another interesting thing that you can see here is that the Sukhoi has lots of room for weapons. There's a hard point here, 2 more here along this trench, should we call it, 2 on the wingtips and 2 on the wings, but you have so much room on the wing for more weapons. I wonder why the Russians never put more hard points under the wings, but it's interesting even so. Another interesting detail that I forgot to mention is this air brake here on the back. It extends this and closes quite well. And I think that's pretty much it for today. I have a few more models to bring over the following few weeks, and I hope you guys like it. Don't forget to visit my Flickr page and subscribe. Thank you and see you next time.